Welcome to Living on the B-Side, where music and stories come together to inspire and transform. I'm your host Birgit, and in every episode we explore the universal language of music, how it shapes our lives, connects us, and tells the stories that define us. Through heartfelt conversations and powerful melodies, we uncover the magic that makes music so much more than just sound. Hey B-Siders, welcome to a brand new episode. Very excited for today. It will be I would say maybe a magical experience for a lot of us, and hopefully when you walk away you have a new appreciation for jazz and all there is to it and with it and whatever else we will talk about. But first, welcome Rick to the show. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you, Bercia. It's a pleasure to be back with you.
Yes. We're not going to go to that one. We had a bit of a technical hiccup. That's all I'm saying.
Yes,
But
we had a little technical difficulty, but now we fixed it.
we fixed it. We're back here and we're doing it. So I'm really excited to talk about Rick and what he's up to and what he's achieved. And there are so many good things that we're gonna hopefully cover today. But let's start with Jazz for Peace. I mean, that's obviously a huge thing because Living on a Beast is all about music and the power of music. And Jazz for Peace is probably one of the best examples of the impact music can have across the globe. So do
Well,
you
the
want to?
sun definitely agrees with you.
Yes, it just came out, which is nice to know. Well, I just want to say on a side note, Rick's in New York, so he's obviously finishing his day off while I'm starting mine, and there's probably the sun saying good night. Almost.
Well, it's 3 in the afternoon, whereas it's
Mm,
7 in the morning for you. Yeah. So
yeah,
for
exactly.
anyone taking notes on the time changes
Yes,
what
time
time
zone.
zone we're both in. Yeah.
Exactly. But Jazz for Peace, tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about, what you think anyone who hasn't heard about it before should really know.
Well, we started on the morning of 9/11 because I happened to watch the events from a rooftop less than a quarter of a mile away. And while I was watching those events, I wrote a poem called Jazz for Peace. And trying to live up to the words of that poem led me to a lot of things. One of them being an event at the United Nations where I brought together Israeli, Palestinian, and American jazz musicians, which keeps resonating more and more as we as I fail to convince these parties to follow our lead and build on the foundation that we set that day rather than keep going down this rabbit hole. But at the same time, it also led to a benefit concert series that has helped over 850 of the world's most outstanding causes. And that's led to, events on just everywhere, hopefully someday in Australia. But I was just on a podcast from India, and that person knew about the event we did in the south of India. And then I was on a podcast from Africa, and that person was a big fan of the 3 events that we had done in his country of Kenya. So it's led to a lot of things. And then doing all those events and being in all those countries and meeting all those people has led to some more great advice that I hope is as correct as our advice to solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict back in 2002 at the United Nations. So I may have some good advice for us going, for our future, from what I've learned, from the lessons
Mm.
I've learned along the way.
And those will probably be quite a bit that you've learned along the way because, as you said, you've done a whole tour, you've done so many concerts now, you're in contact with so many different variety of people. I mean, that in itself will give you so much, experience and knowledge and like hands-on as well, which we probably need more of, like people who really know what's going on and not just people who think they know what's going on. So,
Well, one simple thing I learned is that you can actually uh, you actually can bring peace to the world just by helping all of the world's most outstanding and dedicated causes, because there's so many outstanding causes in the world. And if you were able to help the most the most authentic and sincere and dedicated ones, it would be amazing what the result would be just by helping those who are helping others. It's these little slogans that we learned away. So that's one that, would be a great way forward. And the Jazz for Peace Benefit Concert Series uncovered that by simply helping outstanding causes all over the world and reading the testimonials back from them as to how much impact that had on them. And that's at us. Those are all listed online at jazzforpeace.wordpress.com/about. Our website is jazzforpeace.org, but this is a separate site because we have so much archive material. And it's just jazzforpeace.wordpress.com/about gets you to that specific page where you don't have to listen to us. You can just read the testimonials from many prestigious people around the world, but also all of these organizations who wrote to us after because they wanted us to know that this really does solve that problem. But another really simple problem is right now, everyone seems to agree on one thing, and that is we are funding war at 100%. So, it doesn't matter if you're an Israeli, a Palestinian, a Serb, or a Croat. It doesn't matter if you're a mama or a papa, you know what I mean? Or whatever you want to call it, the Hatfields and the McCoys. Doesn't matter. They all agree. We're funding war at 100%. We're funding peace at 0%. And then you wonder why everything isn't, you wonder why we appear to be underachieving in a lot of areas. Well, if you do that, we're lucky it's not even worse. If we're funding war at 100, it's absurd. I mean, what kind of an alien life form would come here and think that this was anything but bizarre? If I was a Martian and I came here, I'd be like, so you mean to tell me you guys fund war at 100%, you fund peace at 0%, and then when you elect officials to serve your nation, you try to choose the worst of the two evils. You try not to choose the worst candidate, but the second worst. I'm like, are you guys serious?
Yeah,
What would we say? I mean, it's just bizarre.
It's bizarre. They'd probably go, oh, is it even worth trying to help?
I would
Maybe not, and
immediately
maybe
go
they
back to
go.
Mars because it's just too crazy for me. I would think, being a space alien is extremely normal compared to what I'm looking at. But anyway, here's the thing. The link I gave you shows achievements of just one little guy here, Jazz for Peace. It shows our achievements at zero. And I've never met anyone who's looked at that page, looked at all of those achievements and said, oh my God, if this was funded instead of 0 at 1% and war was just brought down from 100 to 99. I mean, I don't know the total amount spent on war, but to get 1%, I mean, we're probably looking at $1 billion or billions of dollars for us to get to 1%. But anyway, I'd like us to get to 1% anyway. You know what I mean? In spite of how much it's going to cost to get to 1% or how much we're going to have to give to peace. But I would like us to get to 1%. It brings war down to 99%. I think it's going to be, you know what? I don't even think you'll recognize the world. At 1% funding for peace, I don't even think we're going to recognize what we're looking at. There'll be so much positive change just from that movement. Now, another easy one, though, is we have a trickle-down economy. Everybody talks about trickle-down. You hear it on the news. Trickle-down. You've heard it on your news, right, over there in Australia? Trickle-down? No?
I don't really watch the news anymore, so
you don't
I'm
even
not
watch
too
it.
sure.
But have you ever heard the term, or is it just in America? I don't know.
I think I've
heard
it before. Yes, yeah.
You've heard it before. So anyway, in America, you hear it all the time. They call it a trickle-down economy. So supposedly, I guess the funds are printed. They go to Wall Street. I don't know. And supposedly, they go to the elites or something. And then supposedly, they're supposed to trickle down. And I guess at some point, they land in our little bread baskets. I don't know. They've been talking about this for years. I'm not even asking them to change. You can keep that. So you can keep that trickle down. I don't know what it is because nothing ever trickled to me, but you have it. You like it. You love it. Keep it. All I
Mm-hmm.
want to do is trickle up with a philanthropic. I want to have I want to have a counterbalance it with an
Mm-hmm.
economy for philanthropic purposes. And an example is a cryptocurrency Jazz for Peace has. It's called Trickle. It's a cryptocurrency,
Whoa.
and what it does is basically it's on the blockchain, and
Mm-hmm.
on the blockchain you can actually have rules and you complete the tasks, and then it's so that it's legitimate. It gets released. The tasks have to be completed or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do
Yep.
with the blockchain, but nevertheless, this would be only for philanthropic purposes. It only goes to an outstanding cause that's really going to do what they say they're going to do. And there are outstanding causes, believe it or not, that
Mm-hmm.
will actually believe in their mission and
Yep.
put achievement first. That's what all of them are supposed to do, by the way. But there are some that are legitimate and they
Yep.
put achievement before profit. Why? Because they are interested in getting wealthy in a real sense, in an inner sense. The
Mm.
achievement of doing it makes them feel rich inside. I understand that because I'm loaded over here with these, it changed me a lot as a human being. So I
Yep.
understand inner wealth, I love them both, but inner wealth, without inner wealth, I don't know what you're doing. I don't care how much
Mm.
money you have. If
Yeah.
you're soulless, what's the point? But these people in philanthropy, they really want to achieve that goal. If some, it could be a person who just wants to clean up a lake in his city. It could be anything. There's so many
Mm-hmm.
possibilities. So they get the money instead of last, because trickle down, you get it last. They get it first. So they get it first
Mm-hmm.
from qualifying through the Jazz for Peace way, and maybe other ways, I don't know, but Jazz for Peace. So they get the funding first. As they use that money to do their service to society or humanity, whatever's in that mission statement of theirs, the funds trickle up into the economy, trickle up. They get them up. I guess these elites will get it last. So sorry for them, but you have what you have is balance. You have a
Yes.
trickle up economy to run concurrently with a trickle down economy to solve the problems of a trickle down economy. So
Mm-hmm.
it has problems, obviously. So this would alleviate those problems. This would create balance in our world.
Yeah.
But they're simple. I mean, is this rocket science? What I'm saying here? I mean, it's just stuff I've come across. It just doesn't
No,
seem such a big deal.
it doesn't. It sounds common sense.
Common sense is what
Yeah.
it is.
But
Simple common sense.
I feel that in a way, and I know, we will agree on this, I'm sure, that art in general, it has been pushed to like a corner. And I do feel art and music for me especially, it opens up your brain and your whole being to whole new avenues of creativity to come up with solutions. It helps you to come up with really creative solutions. And from what I know, obviously I'm not quite sure what the school curriculums completely are these days, but back in my days, I had like music classes. I learned to knit, I learned to sew, like all these creative things that not only were handy to have in a daily life, like I was able to sew on a button and things like that, but also, the music was like singing in a choir. So it fostered so many different areas of my being. And I don't know if that emphasis is so on that anymore. And maybe that's the reason why people don't have much common sense. I'm just, throwing it out there. I don't know if that's true or not.
It's a great point, and it leads me to yet another, thing
Here
I've
we go.
bumbled into here. And this is again 0 to 1 is kind of a fractal because
Yeah.
it's once you find one thing's at 0 to 1, which is world funding for peace, is at 0. We need to go to 1. You notice there's a lot of other things at 0
Mm-hmm.
that need to go to 1. One of them is if you look at the arts, as you have just brought out, there are people that we have been confirmed to their artistic endeavors have left an indelible and profoundly positive impact on society, on humanity, whoever. Unfortunately, the test of time needs to prove that, and often these people are dead before we know about it. That's true, but nevertheless, a Johann Sebastian Bach. I mean, it's hard to find someone in classical music who doesn't say, man, I got, and even us jazz people know he was a great improviser. But I mean, you could go from a Vincent van Gogh, a Bach, a Beethoven, a Mozart, a Charlie Parker, a John Coltrane, Billie Holiday. You can go, there are these people, Monet, right? I mean, in painting, I mean, there's all these people who, but here's the zero. How many of them were heard by 1% of the world during their lifetime?
Good question.
Good
I don't
question.
know.
And I'm going to have to say, until someone can find one of them, I'm going to have to say zero. Because if you look at Mozart died in a pine box, okay? I mean, this is the forward to this book is about Mozart. It's a 2 pages. It's the only 2 pages I wrote. It's Paving the Path for Peace Through Music. It's a great book. And if you read the forward, which I wrote, you'll find out that Mozart died at age 34, buried in a pine box, pretty penniless. If you go to Vienna, Austria, now you see Mozart all over the place, almost like a Graceland of Mozart.
Yeah. Yep.
But I call it a Graceland of guilt, but that's being mean. I don't want to do that. But anyway, it's just a joke. But anyway, the jokes get better as we go along, by the way. So, but I do say that in my forward because I couldn't help myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't help yourself.
A little
But
bit
it is
cheeky, but yeah.
funny, right? I mean, it is funny because I did, I was going back and forth a lot at one time to Vienna, and I was like Mozart everywhere. But I look at his lifetime, and he was ostracized for being so good. But anyway, nevertheless, 0%. You've got to get the Mozart of today. I'm sorry, or the John Coltrane of today, or whoever it may be, needs to be heard or seen, if you're a painter, by 1% of the people. Do you know why? Because the biggest impact is during your lifetime, because Mozart doesn't know about this life. He knew about his life. Chopin, whoever they are, Monet, they knew about what was they were painting in that world of that time. So they were going to have their most profoundly positive impact on another person during that time period. So my point is, the Mozart of today, the Debussy of today, the Monet of today, the Van Gogh, whoever they are, the culture, all the other names I mentioned, they need to be heard by 1%, not zero. Sorry, not zero. 1% of the world during their lifetime, so that they have a profoundly positive impact on the people that they are painting for. Do you know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
On the people that are there. So again, that's another 0 to 1. But with the arts and culture, the way to do that is to lift up the arts, lift all boats. In other words, get a lot of arts and culture out there so that these people can at least be heard at 1%. I mean, there's a lot of people who say, well, I listen to music, I hear music all day long here. I hear music here. But what are you listening to? Are you listening to, background music for a movie? I mean, you hear music all day long, but that doesn't mean you're going to hear the Mozart of tomorrow. In fact, I would say you're not going to.
So how do you suggest we all could start doing that to work towards that 1%?
For example, Jazz for Peace provides a world-class cultural event, You know what I mean? Not a couple of retired police officers, singing Danny Boy. Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't have nothing against that, and they should do that, and that's great, but that's not what we're bringing you. We're bringing you something that is, acclaimed, etc., blah, blah, blah. Are you going to hear the Mozart tomorrow? I don't know, but you have a chance. You have a chance because the musicians that have played with Jazz for Peace are phenomenal. I mean, I have so many. I was on the stage, so I can tell you there have been some phenomenal musicians that have performed with Jazz for Peace, but it's a world-class culture. So that's just one example. But that world-class cultural event also helps those who are helping others, again, getting funding from 0 to 1 and uncovering outstanding causes that really are going to do what they say they're going to do. Again, a 0 to 1, because most people don't know who they are either. Who the ones, that are really, that are really, going to get the job done, that care about their mission statement first and foremost. So that's just one way. But I mean, 0 times, 0 performances in Australia, that's not going to cut it. I mean, I'm not going to be able to get from 0 to 1 with a
No.
0 in Australia. So I would assume Australia, the country of Australia, is going to also have to play a role and let me get some funds into the hands of an
Yeah.
outstanding cause
I
in
was I
every country.
was I was just about to say I don't think you've been over here doing anything really, is it? So it would
I've
be
never
nice to
been to
get that
Australia. I mean, the closest I've been, I believe, is Hong Kong, but that's what, still 7 hours away or 5 hours away? What? Hong
roughly,
Kong?
something like that. Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
as
yeah,
close as I've made it to Australia is Hong Kong. But you have outstanding causes, and it's a matter of the people standing up and saying, "Hey,
and
let's
yeah,
let's give it a try.
let's
Let's
give it a
try
try.
one time." Again, 0 to 1.
So
One,
let's
let's get to
hope.
1.
Yeah,
Let's get
exactly.
to 1. We've got to get to 1
One.
in a lot of areas
Mm,
to really notice the impact. You'll see a noticeable impact
impact. Yeah.
from 0 to 1.
So let's hope that, this podcast is one of the little things that helps getting to one over here in Australia. So, you know,
That would be
let's
fun. I mean, that would be fine with me.
yes, absolutely. So anyone hearing this today or watching us, then, have a think and get in touch with Jess for
Well,
Peace as soon as
basically,
possible.
what we need is an outstanding cause.
Yeah.
We don't know, again, which ones are the true, and it's not whether you're big or small or old or new. It's whether you're authentic. And
Mm,
someone could contact us from Australia and say, my sister just believes, and she's or whoever it is, my so and so. That's it. That's fine with me. Now you have identified, you've saved us, because we wouldn't be able to know who your sister was or
yeah.
who your coworker was that is doing, just has this great thing and needs to get from where they are now to where they need to be. And that's what we can do for them. And then
Mm,
that's going to affect all of the people that their mission, reaches. Whatever that
exactly.
is, feed the homeless, feed the hungry, clean the, whatever it is, clean the sky. I don't know. There's a million things that need to be fixed. And it's just a matter of who's passionate about fixing them.
Hmm.
That's the important thing.
Well, hopefully this reaches the right person or people and we can get the ball rolling here in the land down under.
Yeah,
That'd
I mean,
be
everybody is the right
amazing.
person if they just, give it some thought. Like,
Yeah,
there's got to be somebody that wants to do something good
yeah,
somewhere on my block.
yeah, yeah,
But
true.
did you did you ever, I think I sent you that song. It's called My Funny Valentine. Did you ever get a chance to check it out?
I didn't. Sorry about that. My day got
That's
away from
okay.
me
But do
yesterday,
you guys
so.
celebrate Valentine's Day or no?
Um,
You ever heard of it?
well, we personally, I don't really, but I think it is. It's like Halloween, you sort of have all
It's like
the
Halloween.
it's like you have all the cards and the roses and yeah, it's for me,
Right.
I feel like it's very commercialized, but that's my personal
Of
opinion, so.
course it is, but I was just wondering if you've heard of it, because
Oh
I
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know. I don't. Oh, okay, you have heard of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Does this podcast come out before Valentine's Day or after Valentine's Day?
After.
Oh, after. Okay, all right.
Hmm.
All right, that's what I was curious about. Because the other one I was on, I could. In other words, I was just trying to figure out a way to promote the podcast. So I was using that. I used that song to promote someone's podcast.
Ah, okay. Yep, yep. No, it's gonna be a bit later than that,
Okay, what
unfortunately.
month does this one come out?
March.
March. Okay.
Hmm. Yep.
There's a beautiful Brazilian song called "The Waters of March." Have you ever heard of that?
Good God, no. I feel like my music world is so
It's
big, but
by
now I realize it's so
Antonio
small.
Carlos Jobim. But does your podcast come out in late March or what?
Yes,
End
end
of
of March.
March?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so
Well, this
it'd probably
episode
be
will.
better off to play an April song then, right? A song about April.
March or April doesn't matter. Anything's fine by me,
Well,
you
I
know.
last time I played a song, the last time when we were having the technical difficulties, I played a song. What about that one I played the when we had the technical difficulties? Was that any good?
That was beautiful. I enjoyed that
You
one,
like that
yes.
one?
Yeah, that was very nice.
I could do that one. I could do a second. I could try that one again and
Yeah,
see if it helps
yeah,
us. Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's
All right. So
Play
we'll
it.
find out a little bit about what this music sounds like here. Of course, it's just me. I mean, sometimes we have the Jazz Reviews big band, but there have been numerous concerts where I played solo, especially some places where they don't even have another jazz musician in the country. Like I was
Really?
in Pakistan, and good luck finding another jazz musician. And there's no jazz musicians in the whole country that I could find. So
Oh,
I knew
what
that
a
was going to be
shame.
a solo concert. What?
Wow.
But it was very successful. You
Mm-hmm.
can find, I think it's Vimeo is. Have you ever heard of Vimeo?
Yeah.
Vimeo, and you put Jazz for Peace Pakistan. It's pretty wild.
Okay. I'll make
This
him.
shirt is from Nigeria. I had a 10-piece band at that one, but Pakistan was just me, myself, and I. There was a
Wow.
Pakistani opening act.
Okay.
They got to have a few musicians, yeah. But
Nice.
let's see what happens. Okay.
Yes.
Whenever skies look gray to me and trouble begins to brew, whenever the winter winds become too strong, I concentrate on you. When fortune cries nay, nay to me, and people declare you're through, whenever the blues become my only song, I concentrate on you. Your smile so sweet, so tender, when at first my kiss you declined, the light in your eyes when you surrender, and once again our arms intertwine. So when wise men say to me that love's young dream never comes true, to prove that even wise men can be wrong, I concentrate on you. smile so sweet, so tender, when at first my kiss you declined. The light in your eyes when you surrender, and once again our arms intertwine. So when wise men say to me that love's young dream never comes true, to prove that even wise men can be wrong, I concentrate on you. I concentrate. I concentrate on you.
Oh, wonderful. I enjoyed it again.
Okay, good.
Yes. It I don't know, it felt in a way felt really calm, really nice, sort of very
Uh-huh.
nice, gentle energy. So yeah, thank you
Okay.
so much. That was beautiful.
My pleasure.
Yes. Now we know Jazz for Peace and the incredible work it does. We know we're looking for authentic and inspired to take action people from down under, but that doesn't mean no one else around the world can't get in touch with you. How did they get in touch with you?
You know, a great way, we have an email address, and it's just a basic email address, info@jazzforpeace.org.
Hmm.
And many of our most incredible partnerships have started just by someone sending an email
Hmm.
and just saying something. You know, I remember one woman sent an email just saying, you know, I've been looking over your program and I noticed this and I noticed that and I noticed this. And the more I read, the more I wanted to know who she was because she knew so much about us, you know? And so we contacted her and said, wow, that was so nice. Who are you? Well, she had a organization, and this was a long time ago, and that problem was completely solved. She had an issue where she was going into the rural parts of China where they would not educate the females.
Right.
And they said, listen, we'll pay for, if you want to educate your daughter, we'll pay for it. And some of them would finally say, well, okay, if you're going to pay, you know, well, okay. And they would literally provide, and, you know, I guess it was higher education
Mm.
to females who normally would, because only the boys went to school at that time. And it took off and ended up that they don't even have that problem anymore in China that they used to have. So, but anyway, it led to 4 events for her outstanding cause all over the country because they had 4 areas, regions of the country where they had people working on this. And so we did 4 events. And of course, the publicity and awareness was international. The sponsors came on board in all the different cities, new and prestigious supporters, you know, fundraising and all expanding their donor base, et cetera, an empowerment tree. And like I said, it all just came from a little comment that she sent, noticing the work that we were doing.
Well, in a way, that's like almost a full circle because that's how you started off with this poem that you wrote when you saw 9/11. And, you know, that's what you just said. She wrote an email to you. So I love that kind of, that it's this synchronicity almost that you started that way and this is continuing to happen. So that's,
Yeah, I wrote something and then she ended up writing something to us. I mean, it's just we've been trying to live up to the words of a poem, you know,
mhm.
and basically because it keeps working. So, you know, I mean, if it's not broke, why fix it? And one thing that
True.
isn't broke is a tree. You know, they've been doing what they do. They start out with a little seedling, they grow roots, and then they grow branches, and then they're beautiful and they, really do oxygenate our entire planet. So we can't seem to go wrong. I mean, music has never let me down.
Hmm.
And then these trees, I mean, they've never disappointed me either. So, the empowerment tree that we grow,
Yeah.
based on the result, based on the feedback we get from the people we grow it for, leads us to believe that if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Mm. So I was just thinking about if someone's listening today, and they sort of get to something clicked for them, and they're like, okay, well, I don't have an organization, I don't know an organization, but I still want to do something. Um, and that person might say, yeah, I can see why the arts or music, it could be a really good way for me personally in my personal life to start. Are there any
I mean,
thoughts that you have on that? How they could do that? Like,
how
oh, I
how
think,
somebody could you want well, tell me what they'd be trying to do. Just start an
well,
organization or just trying to do
no,
something with Jasper Piece?
they're probably just listening to this and think, well, I don't, at this point, I don't want to start an organization. I just want to, in my own
Right.
personal life, bring a bit more arts in.
Yeah, so
Um,
just so you know, I mean, most people like me will get on a show like this and they'll only say donate. That's all they'll
yeah.
say. They'll tell you to donate. I'm telling you to participate in any which way. Of course, the easiest way to make it, if you're just sitting there, I have no idea. Of course, you go to jazzforpeace.org,
Yeah.
you scroll down to the bottom and you click on the donate button, and you
Yes.
donate whatever you feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's certainly however much that is or little that is, that counts from getting from 0 to
To
1.
one.
When we help an outstanding cause and we utilize your donation to do it,
Mm-hmm.
that surely you are surely helping us get from 0 to 1, even though it's a long journey and it might seem impossible to you. Of course you're helping just by doing that, and that's at the very least. Yeah, click on jazzforpeace.org, go to jazzforpeace.org, scroll to the bottom of the page, click on the donate button. I mean, that's, you can't lose with that.
Yeah. But if someone can do that, obviously, and that would already be a massive help. But if
Right.
someone feels like, they want to have a little bit more art in their own life to get that inspiration to hopefully have a little bit of a ripple effect in their personal life, do you think they should
Okay.
look at what kind of art they might be interested in and pursue that? And that might then create that ripple effect outwards
Right.
to the
Well,
donation button, maybe?
one thing you can do that a lot of people do is they volunteer with Jazz for
Hmm.
Peace because it
Oh, okay.
immediately puts you in touch with all kinds of other people. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
And,
okay.
one thing that they like to do sometimes is, talk to other nonprofits in their area to see if they can, get their nonprofits to, follow our easy guidelines to get funding from us. And now they're meeting people, and sometimes they're meeting very high quality people in their
Hmm.
town or city. And it's a great way to just for them to network and get out there and
Mm.
meet new people. So volunteering is a great way
Hmm.
to get involved. Another great way to get involved, again, is just to participate, at any level. So it could be, like I said, it could be as a volunteer, but it also could be by just, you know, uh, oh, man, what are some of the easy, attending a Jazz for Peace event.
Hmm.
You can just attend one. You can,
Yeah.
you can get involved with a nonprofit that you believe in and
Hmm.
then tell that nonprofit about us. So
Mm.
there's a lot of, I mean, I don't think there's a way not there's no way. I've never met anyone that I said there's no way, there's no entry point for you. I've never met
Mm.
anyone.
That's true.
There's an
Yeah.
entry point somewhere for everyone.
And even just, I feel even just tuning in and maybe I know this sounds probably a bit funny, but like giving jazz a chance because a lot of people might not know what jazz is like. They've never explored it, they've never opened their hearts and minds to it. So even that you never know where that kind of can lead you. You know, that's sort of something they can do at home while they're cooking. Just put like a nice playlist on and just give yourself a chance to absorb a new type of music that you've never heard before. And then you might go, oh, hang on, I really love this.
You
Is
know,
there
we have the
anything?
jazz. We have the, if you really, I mean, here's the, wow, this is without even a click. We have the Jazz for Peace podcast on Spotify, and you
There
can
you go.
listen to awesome episodes. We also have, there's like Jazz for Peace on YouTube and all that. And you could,
Yep.
click on subscribe to the channel and find out whenever something comes out from Jazz for
Hmm.
Peace and check it out. And we have been, a lot of people have told us that we bring the art form to them in a way that communicates to them. In other words, if
Mm.
you go to my website, which is rickdellarata.com, it's never been updated for 20 years because it's an HTML, and no, nobody really works with HTML anymore. But it says the same thing I've always been trying to do, and that is bring jazz to the people it was created for, and that is everybody. Because
Hmm.
when I was an opening act for Dizzy Gillespie, who was the inventor of bebop, pretty much, him and Charlie Parker, he told me backstage in our dressing room, we used to hang out, that they created that. They didn't know any elites. A lot of times that people say it's an elitist thing, only elites listen to jazz. They didn't know any elites. They didn't
Hmm.
know an elite from a hole in the wall. The music was meant for everybody. It was meant
Everybody.
for society. It was meant to uplift us, and it stimulates your intellect. So we try to bring jazz to people in the way that they did it, by something that communicates with you right away at the outset, and then holds you through while we go on an improvisational journey. Now
Mm.
you saw me do it in that song, which is an old song, but recently I take requests from people, and recently I did it from a song from the Stylistics, which is what, from the 90s, I think, 80s, 90s, the Stylistics,
Mm. I think so. Yeah. I
or
can't remember.
70s, 80s, maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
The
I can't remember.
Stylistics, they were a soul, they were like rhythm and blues.
Mm.
But anyway, I've done it from a rock song, but whatever. But uh people people that don't really know what jazz is have come to our concerts and says, wow, I want to learn more about jazz after enjoying your music, whether it was
Mm.
online or at a concert or whatever. So
There you go. That's where we can all start at, I think.
I would, it's challenging to be a conduit, but it's also very rewarding in terms
Yeah.
of helping other people get involved.
So we're almost at the end, and I just thought, what are your hopes for this year? For you, for Jazz for Peace specifically, but also for yourself on a personal level?
Well, last year was very interesting because a lot of stuff that I used to wonder, is anyone ever going to hear about the corruption in the music business, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are they ever going to hear about that, And then all this news came out about the rap and the crazy stuff going on in the rap world, and the music industry. And it was a first, because that had not ever been first and foremost. And then just in December, you always wonder, is anyone ever going to find out about all the corruption that goes on in the healthcare business in the United States, or some of these, things? Well, it came out now, and we started to hear these problems of these health insurance companies making a lot of money. Why? Because they're denying people's claims. So I think this year could lead to more revelations of things that we have to fix, and that's good for me, because I would like to see improvement in a lot of areas. And so, if people can wake up just as much this year as they did last year, I think that would be great.
Mm. That's a very good point. Yeah. There's yeah, a lot of stuff that's going on, and hopefully it will be highlighted and then we can look for a
Well,
solution.
unfortunately, you have to uncover it before you can address it and resolve
Yeah,
it.
that's
And if no
right.
one ever knows about, I mean, I know about a lot of things, but I don't know if other people are gonna. I don't know if people are gonna want to wake up. Wake up. At what level do we want to wake up? That's the bottom line.
That's a whole nother conversation, I think.
It is. It could be a whole pod. It's a whole
A
nother podcast.
whole
But
nother.
they did wake up a little bit.
Yeah,
So I don't
yeah,
know. I'd like to see
yeah.
them. Let's see if people can keep
Keep
you know
waking up.
keep keep
Hmm.
waking up.
Yeah. Yes. I think in a way, I feel for too long we've just been plotting along and not using our own brain and just believed in what everybody else told us without asking questions, which is always a good thing, I guess. So yeah, we'll see what this year brings for sure.
Let's see. I mean, it's the problem is, you get gaslighted and then you don't believe you're gaslighted. So how are you going to ungaslight yourself if you don't even know you're gaslighted in the first place? And so a lot of us are, you know, believing things that are not really the whole picture, but
Mm,
we don't know it. So how are we going to wake up, But I do see some of these glass houses getting shattered and cracking,
mm,
and it could be I don't know, some good things could happen. We'll have to see. There are bad things now that are still, gonna we're still have to deal with,
mm,
but the waking up, as a species could help us get closer to addressing some of the things that don't seem to be, you know
mm.
um abating.
Yeah. So waking up, sir, and is a big one that we hope is happening this year. And we're just trying to do our little bits to make it move along. I think that's what we're both doing in some shape or form. So yeah, hopefully anyone that's tuned in today will start to, well, walks away feeling like they want to wake up and they question a bit more and they might get involved a bit more and get that zero out the door and the one in. That's sort of
Every little
the
bit
hope.
helps. every
Exactly.
every little bit in the right direction, because one thing just stimulates another. You never know
That's
who's
right.
going to take the baton from you. If you just run 2 or 3 steps, you might find someone that can take it and run 5 or 6.
Exactly. And I think that's a nice way to close off our chat today, Rick. I appreciate your time and your patience as well. It definitely was an experience, the technical difficulties, but we've made it. And I think it was a great chat. So I appreciate everything you shared. And all your information will be in the episode description. So please check it out, B-Siders. And if you are a person who has a great idea and who wants to create a little bit of change to get to that 1%, then please get in touch with Jazz for Peace, because you never know, there might be the right people to help you out. Otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in, and I shall be back with you again very soon. Until then, I'm sending you much music and love as always. You take care. Bye for now. Bye bye.